We got to talk goalies. We got to do it. Got to do it. Earlier this week, yesterday, feels longer ago, we did cons and cons. For those of you that are unaware, it's where we pick a team and we say, what are you most concerned about? What are you most confident? It's kind of, confident about. Never mind. Cons and cons. And we did it for the Carolina Hurricanes. We call it Hurricans and cons. And when it came to what are you most concerned about, we pretty much settled on if you polled a bunch of Canes fans and said, what are you most concerned about moving forward? An overwhelming majority of them are going to say something involving goalie, right? Whether it's the health of a goalie, the play of a goalie, the support of a goalie, the word goalie was going to be in your answer somewhere most likely, unless you were kind of thinking outside the box. That's not the best thing to have on your list of concerns in the postseason. Let's just put it out there, right? You want your goalies to be healthy and great form, and the best statistics in the league and all of that just gives you a certain peace of mind. That's not where the Canes are, right? Can't control it, so you gotta deal with it. Freddie Andersen, who had been the guy going into the postseason, right? Goalie 1, playing exceptionally well during the beginning of that Devil series before getting hurt. He is practicing today, or he was on the ice today. I want to make sure we get the appropriate terminology.
Full participant in practice.
Full participant. There you go. Which is great to hear. Which is fantastic to hear. And I believe it should be his net if he is healthy. Pyotr Kochetkov got the start in Game 5, and we'll talk about what led to everything else. But if he would have posted something ridiculous, if he would have had a 40-save night, if he would have done something awesome, I think you consider letting the hot hand ride. But didn't happen that way. They went in double overtime, and I think now there's no Wally Pipp situation. You go back to Freddie if he's healthy and he's good enough to be effective. Rod Brind'amour talked about the goalies providing the crucial saves when needed, which is pretty darn important.
It always comes down to you got to get those saves, and certainly, it's the nature of that position. It always seems to fall on it, but you got to get timely saves, and you got to give us a chance to stay in games when maybe we're not playing our best. So that's what he's done for sure.
That's what he's done for sure. So yes, I believe it's Freddie's net if he's healthy. Here's the thing though, there is more to the success, or there's more to fixing, or more to, it's not just, Freddie's healthy, put him in there, everything's solved, right? We're talking about, no more concerns. Checked that one off the list. Now we can forget about it. It's not that simple, right? And I agree, looking at, how Pyotr's playing, and at times Freddie, that they haven't always been at their best, but I want to second what many have said, which is the skaters have to help them out, right? If Freddie's healthy, if Pyotr's in net, or if Freddie's not healthy and Pyotr's in net, if Freddie's healthy, he's in net. If you're rotating through, whatever the decision Rod Brind'amour ends up making, there has to be an emphasis on making the goalie's job easier, especially when that's part of your identity. Right, with the Canes system, possession, right, holding the puck, taking shots away from shots on goal off of your goaltender's plate. Do that, right? Do that. Clear the puck. Limit turnovers. Make good decisions, right? If shots are going to challenge your goaltender, make them ones that he's prepared for, and make them ones that you have a chance of blocking, and you're limiting angles. And that goes for everybody. Everybody. Every goalie in the history of the world. Some you depend on to maybe save you more, but these aren't those guys. Right? You don't have the all-time greats back there. Pretty good goaltenders, but you don't have the all-time greats. So handle your business. And then lastly, and I say this with an emphasis, stay out of the box if you can. Right? I really like that we've seen these goaltenders, meaning Freddie and Pyotr very, very well in Game 5. We've seen them struggle, and it hasn't rattled them to their core. We've seen them have the mental focus to lock back in after a tough stretch. I don't want to keep testing that. Right. And things like going in the box and giving the advantage, and maybe they give up a power play goal or whatever it is, it can rattle you, can mess with your confidence. And I think Piotr's a great example of it. There was somebody on Twitter, I think it was Twitter. We were talking goalies, right, as you do on Twitter. And they said, I like Freddie, but he's never hurt. And Piotr, I think he's got potential, but he's been really rough the second half of the season. And I would, as you're probably doing right now, you're going like, oh yeah, I get what he's saying. I get it, and I knew where he was coming from, but it wasn't Piotr's second half of the season. It was Pyotr Kochekov's last 7 games of the regular season. There really was a split right at that 7 goals allowed LA Kings game, which was his 7th to last start of the year. And when there's a moment like that changes everything dramatically from 2 goals allowed for a bunch of games in a row into 3, 4, 5 goals allowed for a bunch of games in a row, then it's confidence kind of sticks out there. So stay out of the box for a bunch of reasons, but I do have a stat here that can maybe emphasize how important it is. I don't know if you've heard. This was a very little known, little covered story that no one in the NHL became obsessed about. Sarcasm. Alexander Ovechkin became the all-time leading scorer this year.
I heard about that.
Yeah, it was covered in local papers. Definitely not over talked about. Do you know how long ago he became the all-time leader in power play goals? Like 3.5 seasons ago. He has that record by 52 and scored 14 this year and 11 last year and 14 the year before. So going back like really 3 and like 3/4 seasons back to when he set the record for most power play goals in a career. So he'll take advantage of it if you give him the extra space, right? He'll find his spot right there on the left side, and he'll make it very difficult on your goaltender. And you need to avoid that, right? Because the irony, or not even the irony, and this is no disrespect to Nico Hischier from the Devils, but the 4th goal allowed in Game 5 by Pyotr Kochekov. I don't know. You can debate whether it was a goal he should have saved or not. But one of the things you hear often is like, well, if you give a goal scorer like Nico Hischier, a full head of steam towards the goal, like there's a good chance he's going to find a way to, like he's they're professional athletes too.
Yeah, let an elite goal scorer wide open coming down the slot from about 15 feet out. They're probably going to score.
And this is not disrespect to Nico Hischier, although it might sound like it. He's not Ovechkin on the power play. So go ahead and make sure you stay out of the box if you can, right? Check the things you can control, the P's and Q's. Make sure your T's are crossed, your I's are dotted to make your goalie's life easier. And then once they get into their rhythm, I think that's when you see kind of the top end of this team, right? Because we've seen them when they're doing the alternate thing earlier this year, go 8-10 games of really, really good goaltending, but you got to get there first, right? Rhythm. You got to start it at some point before you're riding the wave, and I think you can help out with that by doing your job in front of them.